Pretty sure everybody knows by now the new trailer for the however many iterations of Mortal Kombat, the reboot of reboots that rebooted the reboot is dropped. Red Band trailer. Glad to see they're going with an R-rated certification and apparently a guarantee from the filmmakers that they pushed it as far as they possibly could. So that's promising. The trailer, unfortunately for me, suffers from some modern day cliches, music cues, character voiceovers, and just the way they kind of do things in modern trailers that do nothing for me. Introduction of a new character, Cole, which is supposed to be the audience's introduction to the world. We learn as he learns and all that kind of stuff, even though if you're an old bastard like me, you've been around since the beginning of the iteration of the Mortal Kombat series. I mean, when it dropped in 92, I was already 24. So not really going to shock me with many details as far as the Mortal Kombat situation goes. 90. A lot of people have been like those old guys have been comparing it to the 95 movie. The 95 movie was made under even stricter regulations than what they had to follow for this one. Because of a little history on the game, it started out as an idea. It was going to be a Universal Soldier adaptation with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and they wanted to do the motion cap thing where they actually filmed him doing the moves, and it was, but they couldn't get the license to that. That fell through. Then they thought, well, let's do a blood sport fighting game since Street Fighter and all that kind of stuff is really big. Well, they couldn't get the license for that, but by then Street Fighter had made so much money that Midway was like, yeah, just go ahead and make a game. Just, do what you're going to do. So Mortal Kombat was birthed of that. But because of some of the ideas they had with the fatalities and the actual photorealistic people, created quite the hubbub. It was like the first exploitation video game, I guess, is what they got. I don't know. There was probably something before that would fit that description, but I don't know if Leisure Suit Larry counts. But anyway, I digress. So that because of the Mortal Kombat game and all the controversy, the ESRB was born, Electronic Software Ratings Board. And that was in 94. The movie came out in 95. So naturally it had to be a PG-13 because there was no way they were going to squeak out the fatalities at that time, considering all the controversy that the video games had drummed up by then. Although Mortal Kombat 2, when it was released, was the highest grossing opening of a video game ever up to that point, and it even beat out some of the summer movie blockbusters that were released. It actually made bank. I mean, we're talking about a $5 billion up till now $5 billion video game franchise. The first game is responsible for 54 million alone, and it kind of helped Genesis get one up on Super Nintendo during the time with the big console wars, the Coke Pepsi console wars. Genesis put out the uncut version with the code. Of course, you had to have the combat code. Nintendo was all about, oh, hell no. We're all about Muppets and children and shit. We're not letting that slide. So, they couldn't. They had sweat instead of blood. Well, they paid the price, learned their lesson. And then when Mortal Kombat 2 came out, they gave you the full, no offense. They gave you the full Monty. And, everybody loves the full Monty, right?
Oh, of course.
I'm suddenly not comfortable being under him in the grid.
You could be in danger, Lauren. Your headroom could get shallow there. All right. So anyway, here we are many years later. He moves out of the way. Christian's in the danger zone. Uh-oh. Oh man! So here we are, all these years later, and the only thing I can say that's missing from is the music. That iconic music from the video game and the first movie. I was kind of hoping they would at least, reference that in some way or another, because that's kind of part of the charm. Because the first Mortal Kombat, it's not was never meant to be a super serious type thing. It was fun. It was clown shoes, but we knew that and we loved it. It was fun. Now that it seems like they're trying to take a super serious type turn with it, and I don't know if that's just the modern era and everything has to be explained and super serious. And I'm interested in watching the film. I mean, at least the trailer did that for me. I mean, there's going to be fatalities. Kano looks like he's at least going to be comic relief, so there's some hope that there will be a sense of humor involved. I mean, I love Australian humor. It's fucking great. So at least with him involved, that looks pretty cool. But the introduction of a new character. We're down to Sonya. We got Jax, Cao Lang, or whatever his name is, and Liu Kang. And of course, Scorpion. They're going to do an origin on Scorpion to give him a little bit more of a backstory, which is cool because it looks like they're going more, legitimate with it. And of course, Sub-Zero. I thought I saw a better representation of Reptile. It looked kind of practical, but probably not. But at least it looked fake enough to be mistaken for practical. And you got Goro and Shang Tsung, and so it looks like lots of Easter eggs. You got Raiden, who looks like he's more close to the original John Carpenter, version of Raiden. So yeah, there's a lot there for me to be excited about as an old fan. And with all the TV shows and cartoons and video game sequels and stuff, I mean, how bad could it really be? I mean, I'm sure if you dig through the plethora of Mortal Kombat stuff, you're going to find something worse. It's just inevitable. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I thought it was decent. I wish the music would have been more upbeat, less of the droning voiceover, super depressy, darkish. I mean, it's colors, it's light, it's music, it's fun, people. Come on. Let's have a good time with this. It's Mortal Kombat. But we didn't get that, but at least we got some glimmer of hope that maybe on the other end, they'll give us something that we were never able to have before.
Right.
And I was kind of shocked looking at some of this stuff on the video game. It's still banned in some countries.
What?
The series was subject of a major video game controversy, several court cases largely related to its extreme violent content, especially in relation to the original game, which paved the way for the introduction of the Entertainment Software Ratings Board game rating system in 1994, as well as the Australian Classification Board. Various games in the series, as well as advertisements for them, have been censored or banned in a number of countries because of the CEO Joost van Druin, because of the obvious rift between gamers on one hand and adult society on the other. Mortal Kombat set the tone for what constituted gamer culture. In Germany, every Mortal Kombat game was banned for 10 years from its release until 2015.
Wow.
Mortal Kombat 2011 is also banned in Brazil, South Korea, and hasn't been banned in Australia until February 2013. MK11 is banned in Indonesia, Japan, China, and Ukraine.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
It's a video game.
I know.
I mean, we heard of back in the day when they had the movies that were on the banned list and stuff, but these are video games and they're still banned to this day. We're not talking about like 1981. We're talking about now,
Well,
2021. We still have countries banning fucking video games. They're fucking video games. What the hell, people?
Well, I don't know if you've first Christian's here. Christian, what's up, man? How you doing? He snuck in.
I'm doing good.
Christian.
Doing good. Glad to be here. Doing good.
Good. Right on. I don't know if you're
Mike, you do know that video games cause kids to harm people, right? Violent video games. You know that's right.
That's true.
They've been trying to prove that shit for about 40 years now, and they still haven't convinced me. But I guess they're not giving up on it.
I don't know if have you played any Mortal Kombat 11, Mike?
No, I haven't actually. No.
What's funny with that game is it's still bloody, it's still violent, there's still graphic fatalities, but they've covered all the female characters from head to toe, as if they're it's the dead of winter, like they're going to a fight, but they're wearing like these long capes and high-heeled boots, and they're completely covered from head to toe. So that's how Mortal Kombat has got with the times, quote unquote.
Oh.
The guys are still shirtless and half naked, but the women are like covered from head to toe.
Oh, well, I'm okay with that then.
As far as the games being banned in countries, there are still a lot of weapons bans and depictions of weapon bans in a lot of countries. In the UK, for instance, nunchucks until about 8 years ago could not be portrayed in film. They were always exercised from the films, and that's pretty much the UK. So I suspect that the game runs afoul of a bunch of laws as that because it portrays certain weapons being used on screen.
What is so deadly about nunchucks, might I ask?
They were popular among young Britons at one point
Okay.
because of an explosion of cinema from China, Hong Kong, and as usual, the moral crusaders make their decisions.
Yeah, well, yeah. Friends of mine, we would take our mom's broomsticks, right? We'd cut them down, and then we'd nail like we would make our own nunchucks with like a piece of rope and nails, and we'd beat the shit out of ourselves with them. And our
That was
parents would
not
just
a
stand there and
defense.
laugh at us like,
That
"You
was
had
not a
enough yet,
defense,
dumbass?"
just an explanation.
You know, it's like you learn. That's how if you take away a person's ability to learn from their own dumb actions, you're going to end up with what we have, and that's a world full of dumb people.
Yeah.
The trailer for the new Mortal Kombat, it didn't super. I mean, I wasn't blown away by it, but I'm excited to see it. A lot of the response, it seems like for the most part from people has been overwhelmingly positive for that trailer. But I think as long as it doesn't look like Mortal Kombat Annihilation, people are going to be stoked. So I mean,
that's where they took it one step too far.
Exactly.
That was a bridge too far. Yes, the first film, which launched the career of Paul Anderson, believe it or not, that was really his stepping stone. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's up for you to decide. But the first film, I thought, except for obviously being held back as a PG-13, if they would have allowed the fatalities to go on the screen, then that probably would have been about, that would have been great for me. That would have been what I expected. We get half of that now. Hopefully they don't screw up the other half that movie got right.
Yeah. And to go back just to talk about the games very briefly, I grew up with those games. So, I remember first my buddy telling me about the Mortal Kombat arcade game.
Yep.
And we went to a pizza shop and it was there. And I remember watching a guy play it and he was tearing people up as Scorpion. And I was blown away because of the blood and how realistic it looked. And then he was setting people on fire. And then somebody joined him as Sub-Zero and pulled his head off with his spinal cord attached. And I was like, oh my God, this is and then of course, like you saw Goro and Shang Tsung floating around. I mean, I was blown away. And then when Mortal Kombat 2 came out, I got it on Super Nintendo. I was that nerd who got the Nintendo Power magazine. I knew every move, every fatality, every babality, every friendship. I knew everything about that game frontwards and backwards. I lost like a year of my life. Just exactly, yeah. In Mortal Kombat 2. So
I love that smart-ass reaction to the people getting all mad about the fatalities. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, here's some friendships. Here's some babalities. Is that dumb enough for you yet? We can come up with some more stuff.
Whoopsies.
I mean, and the inside jokes with the toasty, oh, that was so good. And we all wanted to nail that uppercut and get the toasty. I mean, that was
course. Yeah, of course.
My wife actually last night, she said, hey, Christian, we got the Nintendo Switch and an Xbox One. And she's really been enjoying the Switch. And she said, hey, Christian, I got Mortal Kombat 11 on it. It went down to $15. I was like, awesome. And she goes, you're not going to believe this, Christian. I was like, what's up? She's like, RoboCop and Rambo are on the game. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. So I'm playing last night. And, we live in a world, where we've got Friday the 13th, Blu-rays with not even Pamela on it. But what's really cool about this is I was doing the fatality with Rambo last night. And my wife was watching it, and they mimicked the death from Rambo 4 when he kills the Burmese officer, where he pulls out his jugular or whatever, or he squeezes the dude's neck until he starts bleeding. I was like, this is really cool. And they got Stallone's voice for it. So that was really, really cool. I actually heard his voice and everything. So, and then playing as RoboCop was awesome too, because they actually had Ed 209 when you do special moves. So it seems like it's really still done by fans, big time. So that's really cool.
That's Peter Weller's voice too. R.I.P.
Oh,
right. The only thing I wish they would have done, and this is me being nitpicky, when you do the fatality with RoboCop and Ed 209 comes behind you, I wish they would have added that tiger roar that you hear, that roar, when you first see him. I was telling Cindy, I was like, oh, they didn't do the tiger roar, and she goes, quit being silly. Like, that's good enough, Christian. The only other thing I'll add about Mortal Kombat, the only other thing I want to add about Mortal Kombat is I'm a little upset that just in some way or another that Van Damme is not involved in this new Mortal Kombat. I wish Van Damme somehow could have got involved for like the super fans that know the stuff that Mike was talking about. And the funny thing is when I saw Annihilation as a kid, I took that movie. I was a kid because I'm the youngest one here. But so when I was little when I saw that movie. I took that movie as seriously as the Shawshank Redemption when I was a kid. Like Annihilation was everything to me, you know. And now when I watch it back, I'm like, Jesus, man! Just to think this was a box office smash hit. Like this movie was a box office smash hit. That's amazing to me. You know, I think the first one borderlines on just a good movie. I mean, I really do love the first Mortal Kombat.
It was a good movie. Me and my friends, when the trailer came out for the first one, we were all like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Now, my favorite thing to do, I never played the original Mortal Kombat. My favorite thing to do was to watch the guys play it. So every time we were around, they'd have their, Mortal Kombat out and they'd be playing it. And I'd be watching it as if it was like, I was in Vegas at the fights or something, and I loved it. I loved it. And then so when the movie was coming out, we all got super excited. We all, got in the car and we all went together and we all came out of there elated and excited. And then the next day I'm hearing all this stuff about, oh, it's a piece of crap and all this stuff from all these people. And I'm like, what? I don't know. Did we see the same movie? Because I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought the special effects for back then were awesome. And I don't know. I haven't seen Annihilation, so I don't know how that is, but I take your guys' word for it that it's pretty crappy.
Oh, you got to see Annihilation.
You think I should watch it?
You have to see Buffalo Bob is Shao Kahn. Remember him from Joe Dirt, Buffalo Bob? That guy's been in a lot of cool movies. That guy was in a Van Damme movie called Lionheart. He was in
Cobra.
He was in Cobra.
I saw Lionheart.
He's in Fright Night too. That dude, he's that guy that just shows up in all kinds of random movies as side characters. Well, he's Shao Kahn in Annihilation, and he does not disappoint. It's a bad movie, but I will watch it all the time and have a blast.
I might check it out then.
It's a huge step down, but it's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it's really bad, but it's comical how bad it is for the most part.
Just to finish up what I was saying, I have never played the game up until last year. Last year, I decided that I wanted to fight with my husband a little bit. So I said, let's play Mortal Kombat 10 because it's free if you have PS Now. So we started playing it and I don't know, maybe he was letting me win. I kicked his butt pretty bad a few times, but I think he was letting me win. But I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea about the mashing the buttons and what sequences I'm doing. I'm just taking a chance. I don't care though. It's super fun and Katana rocks. I like her. I have learned some of her moves, but
you're what they call in the fighting game community a masher.
More clips just like this, be sure to subscribe to the Region Free YouTube channel and also check out the Patreon to get exclusive content and become a Regionaire.